Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly with a cup of tea, maybe watching the sunset, or just listening to the hum of the house, wondering if love has passed you by, or if it might just be waiting around the corner again? Maybe you've even thought, could I fall in love again at this age? Or would remarrying now be wise? Or just wishful thinking? You're not alone. So many people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s find themselves at this exact crossroads. The idea of remarrying later in life can be both exciting and terrifying. You've already lived a full chapter, maybe more, with someone else. You've raised children, retired, lost someone, or gone through a divorce. Your life isn't starting fresh from zero anymore. And that's exactly what makes remarriage at this stage so different. It's not about building something from scratch. It's about deciding whether you want to blend what you've already built with someone else's world. And here's the thing, it's okay to admit that the decision isn't simple. Love might feel the same in your heart, but the circumstances around it are completely different. Now that's why in this video we're going to talk about 5 truths you absolutely need to know before saying, I do again. These aren't just random ideas, they're the things that could make or break your happiness, peace of mind, and even your financial security. So let's start where most people don't, but absolutely should: your finances. Here's something a lot of people find out the hard way. Remarrying after 60 can dramatically change your financial picture. And I'm not just talking about splitting expenses or combining bank accounts. I'm talking about the ripple effects on things like social security, retirement income, pensions, estate planning, and even how much you'll leave your children or grandchildren. James is a good example. He's 72 and a retired high school principal. After his wife passed away, he spent several years on his own. When he met Carol, they instantly clicked. She was kind, lively, and had a smile that made him feel like he was 40 again. A year later they decided to get married, but James hadn't spoken with a financial planner. He didn't realize that his social security benefits, based on his late wife's work record, would be reduced after remarriage. He didn't know that Carol's debts would legally entangle with his in some states. And he certainly didn't expect that his will, which left everything to his children, would need to be completely redone to prevent legal confusion. And that's the thing, when you remarry at this stage, love isn't the only thing you're combining. You're combining histories, you're combining obligations, you're combining futures that were already set in motion. And if you don't look closely, those lovely happily ever after plans can get real messy, real fast. That's why it's so important to sit down with a financial advisor who understands the needs of older couples, someone who can explain how remarriage might affect your tax status, healthcare costs, government benefits, or long-term plans for your family. You might need to consider a prenup, not because you don't trust your partner, but because you do want clarity. These conversations may feel unromantic, even uncomfortable, but they're an act of love in themselves. They protect both of you. And speaking of protection, let's talk about family, because here's another truth many people don't see coming. Family dynamics become a lot more complicated when you remarry later in life. You're not just blending two people, you're blending two entire family histories. There are children, grandchildren, sometimes even exes or extended families that still play a role in your life. And all of them bring feelings, opinions, and yes, sometimes resistance. Linda, who remarried at 68, assumed her adult children would be thrilled that she'd found love again. After all, they'd encouraged her to get out and enjoy life. But when she got engaged, the mood shifted. Her daughter worried about inheritance. Her son didn't want to spend Thanksgiving with someone he barely knew. One grandchild asked, "Will Grandpa still be at Christmas?" And her heart broke just a little. It's not that they didn't want her to be happy, it's that they didn't know what to expect. And frankly, neither did she. These moments aren't about disapproval, they're about adjustment. Your loved ones need time and communication. Sometimes they fear being replaced. Sometimes they just want reassurance that you'll still be you, their parent, their grandparent, their anchor. So if you're considering remarriage, start the conversation early. Let your family know why this relationship matters to you. Be honest about what will change and what won't. Invite them to get to know your partner, but don't force it. Relationships take time, and so does trust. The most important thing is to approach it with empathy, patience, and the understanding that everyone is adjusting to a new kind of normal, including you. And remember, just because you're older doesn't mean your heart is any less tender. These changes can feel overwhelming. You may feel caught between the life you've built and the life you're reaching for. That's okay. This is a time in life when you deserve companionship, but also peace, stability, and clarity. Now that we've explored how finances and family can change with remarriage, let's gently shift towards something even more personal, your emotional expectations. Because love at this age isn't about fairy tales. Emotional expectations, it's about something deeper, more grounded, and maybe more beautiful than ever before. When we were younger, love often came with grand gestures, long phone calls, shared dreams of a future we hadn't yet built. Marriage back then was about growth, building careers, raising families, saving for retirement. But after 60, the picture changes. You're no longer trying to build a life. You're looking to enjoy the one you've already created. That doesn't make love less important. It just makes it different. And so do the emotional expectations that come with it. It's easy to assume that because you've been in a relationship before, you know how to navigate a new one. But the truth is, this stage of life brings with it a different set of needs. For many, companionship matters more than romance. Quiet moments of understanding may mean more than passionate declarations, and independence, something you've earned and learned to cherish, now plays a central role in any future you consider. George, a 75-year-old retired engineer, learned this firsthand after being widowed. He eventually found a new partner, Marie, who had been divorced for many years. George had always shared everything with his late wife. They'd cooked together, gone grocery shopping together, and even folded laundry side by side. So naturally, he expected the same kind of closeness with Marie. But Marie had lived alone for over a decade. She liked her own space. She had her own routines, her own way of managing the day. She wasn't cold or distant, just different. She valued quiet evenings by herself. She liked reading before bed alone. And when George suggested moving in together, she gently said, "Let's take it one step at a time." At first, George was hurt. He wondered if she truly loved him, but as time passed, he began to realize Marie did love him. She just didn't want to lose herself in the process. She didn't want to merge everything. She wanted a relationship where both of them could remain who they were, yet come together in meaningful ways. And honestly, isn't that what we all want at this stage? A connection that honors who we've become, rather than asking us to become someone else. This is why it's so important to talk openly about emotional needs and boundaries. How much time do you want to spend together? Are you looking for someone to travel with, or someone to sit beside you in the garden and enjoy a quiet morning? Do you want to live together or maintain separate homes? There's no right or wrong answer. What matters is that both of you are on the same page. The truth is, expectations can quietly ruin a good thing, not because they're unreasonable, but because they're unspoken. And sometimes, it's not just about what you expect now, it's about what you've already experienced. When you bring decades of history into a new relationship, you carry more than just happy memories. You may carry grief. You may carry pain. You may have had a partner who cheated, or one you lost too soon. These emotional imprints don't just disappear, but they don't have to. In fact, they can be a source of strength. If you acknowledge them, being honest about your past, your fears, your hesitations, even your scars, allows your new partner to see the real you. And that, my friend, is what lasting love in this chapter of life is really about. It's okay to wait. That's why emotional readiness is just as important as legal or financial preparation. If you're still struggling with grief or still carrying anger from a previous divorce, it's okay to wait. You deserve to enter your next relationship with a whole heart, or at least one that's healing in the right direction. Because the goal here isn't just not to be alone, it's to be with someone in a way that brings peace, support, and shared joy. Someone who understands that you may still cry when you hear a certain song, or who knows you need a little extra time when talking about your kids. Love after 60 isn't about erasing the past, it's about honoring it while allowing yourself to open the door to something new. And speaking of opening doors, there's one more truth that's often left in the shadows, even though it should be front and center. Marriage is not just a matter of the heart, it's also a matter of law. And when you're over 60, the legal aspects of marriage can affect nearly everything, from your medical care to your inheritance. Barbara, a 67-year-old small business owner, found herself in this situation after building a successful life and raising 2 children on her own. She fell in love with Tom, a retired Navy veteran. They were both in a good place emotionally. Financially, they were stable. They loved the same movies, the same food, and the same sense of humor. So when Tom proposed, Barbara said yes. But something in her gut told her to be careful. She met with a family attorney just to be sure everything was in order. That's when she learned that by marrying, she would automatically give Tom certain legal rights to her estate, her healthcare decisions, even her small business. Without clear documents in place, her children could be left in the dark and possibly in conflict with Tom if anything were to happen. So Barbara and Tom sat down together, had an honest discussion, and created a prenup agreement, not because they didn't trust each other, but because they respected each other. They wanted to go into their marriage, knowing that everything was clear and everyone they loved would be protected. Things like wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives may not be part of a fairy tale romance, but they are part of building a safe, secure future together. It's not about planning for disaster. It's about making sure your wishes are honored, your assets are protected, and your loved ones aren't left in a legal maze. It's also about protecting your relationship because nothing creates tension faster than confusion, especially when money, property, or medical care are involved. And in this stage of life, peace of mind matters more than ever. So whether you're head over heels in love or still just thinking about the possibility of remarriage, don't shy away from the legal conversations. Seek advice, put things in writing, and make sure both of you understand what this new commitment really means, not just emotionally, but practically, because love may bring you together, but clarity, respect, and preparation will help keep you together. Ask yourself this when you reach your 60s or 70s. The way you define happiness starts to shift. In your earlier years, happiness might have looked like a promotion, a new home, a growing family. It was often tied to building something, momentum, legacy, security. But now, happiness has a quieter rhythm. It shows up in peaceful mornings, in meaningful conversations, in the freedom to spend your time the way you truly want. So if you're thinking about remarrying, there's one question you must ask yourself honestly. Will this relationship add to the happiness I already have, or will it ask me to sacrifice the comfort and balance I've worked so hard to create? That's not a question rooted in fear or doubt. It's a question rooted in wisdom. Walter, a 72-year-old widower, found companionship again when he met Karen through a local gardening club. She was vibrant, always planning their next weekend getaway, and full of enthusiasm. At first, he loved her energy. It brought something new into his life. But after they married, Walter realized he felt tired, not because of her, but because the pace of their life together didn't align with what made him truly happy anymore. He liked his mornings slow and quiet. She liked them fast and full. He loved staying local. She longed for constant travel. The contrast between their lifestyles slowly turned their beautiful bond into a daily compromise, one that left him feeling like he was constantly adapting, constantly adjusting. He didn't regret marrying Karen, but if he could go back, he says he would have spent more time asking himself what kind of happiness he really wanted. And that's something many people don't consider when falling in love later in life. We assume that love means giving everything, being together all the time, sharing every part of our day. But maybe, just maybe, happiness after 60 isn't about sharing everything. Maybe it's about sharing the right things, in the right way, with the right person. You might not want to live in the same house. You might not want to merge finances. You might prefer to keep your Sunday mornings exactly the way they've been for years. And you know what? That's okay. You've earned the right to protect your peace, and any relationship you enter should enhance that, not take it away. This is why defining your own version of happiness is so essential before you walk down the aisle again. What brings you peace? What gives you energy? What makes you feel most like yourself? A loving relationship in this chapter should honor those answers, not override them. Some people find that remarrying gives them a renewed sense of purpose, joy, and deep connection. Others realize they're happiest staying independent, but having a close companion nearby. And some discover that what they truly needed was simply time to grow into the person they are now. There's no rule book for love after 60. There's only your truth and your courage to follow it. And if you take one thing from this conversation, let it be this: you are allowed to put your happiness first. You are allowed to ask hard questions. You are allowed to take your time, because at this stage in life, love shouldn't feel like a leap into the unknown. It should feel like a calm, confident step forward toward more of the peace, connection, and fulfillment you already value. So take the time to reflect. Have those honest conversations with your partner, your family, your advisor, and most importantly with yourself. Don't rush, don't settle, and don't silence that quiet inner voice that knows what you need to feel whole. Conclusion: if this video gave you even one new insight, or helped you see your situation in a new light, I'd love to hear from you. What truth resonated most with you today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one. And if you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life. Your support truly helps us continue creating thoughtful, empowering content just for you. You've already built so much in your life. Now, whatever path you choose, remarriage, companionship, or solo joy, make sure it's one that honors you, because you deserve a life that feels good in your heart, peaceful in your mind, and steady beneath your feet. Here's to living your best life at any age.